WRKS Pickens Jackson.
You ready?
Let's go! 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now live in the Bank Plus studio, where college football meets the all lifestyle.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is
The Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds, streaming around the world live at the Out of Bounds radio app and on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
Where are you?
The Zone.
All right, good morning. Welcome in. The Out of Bounds Show is driven by the all-new Acura MDX at the all-new Acura of Jackson. The number one crossover luxury SUV on the market, AcuraofJackson.com, and the Acura MDX. You can buy or lease today. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Our guests join us on the Shinerbach guest line. We welcome in our friend Matt Ginella, golf insider. I think almost a decade at the Golf Channel. Now he's out in San Diego and has started his own deal. Matt Ginella, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Bo. Always a pleasure to be with you, buddy.
Hey, thanks for spending some time with us today. Now that we know, thank goodness, Tiger Woods is going to be okay, but how about the news of the crash and the accident yesterday?
Oh, devastating on a lot of fronts. I'm at this point, like everybody else, we're just grateful he's alive. That crash, the scene, the car, the distance he traveled. Thankfully, he's alive, and thankfully, no one else is hurt. After that, then you just take a breath and just hope that he's able to recover in some way, shape, or form in which he's able to enjoy the rest of his life and enjoy his kids and hopefully one day his grandkids.
You know, Matt Ginella, golf insider on the Out of Bounds show. Matt, Dan Wetzel had an article this morning with Yahoo Sports, and the title of the article is "Here's Hoping Tiger Woods Can Return to His Golf Dad Life." You and I are both dads. How cool was it to watch him and Tiger and Charlie playing last December in the PGA father-son event? I think, and basically what Wetzel talks about is that's what we want to see again. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's it. We see that again. I mean, just you saying that gives me chills because, I was single for a long time, Bo. I was, traveling the world and playing golf and having fun, and everyone said, well, you won't know what it's like to be a father until you're a father, a parent until you're a parent. And it does, as you say, it changes your life. It changes your perspective. It changes everything. And you become, you lower yourself on your own totem pole. The kids, your children, your family, go to the top. And for him to be able to have that experience with Charlie, and obviously he's got a great relationship with his daughter, Sam. So, that's it. We can only hope for that. And if we see that someday, what a treat that will be.
Matt, we were talking earlier about pre-1997 golf and post-1997 golf with Tiger winning the Masters and all the money that has come into play, and the fact that the top 150 golfers are all mega rich, and that wasn't the case prior to Tiger's arrival. You lived a lot of that with being in golf the last 20 years or so, and like you said, traveling the world, Golf Channel, magazines, and so on. Just kind of put it in perspective, what it's meant to you and the business, the Tiger run that started around 97.
Oh, my first week as the Sports Illustrated golf photo editor was the 1996 Milwaukee Open, which was the week Tiger Woods turned pro. So essentially, I kind of turned pro the same week Tiger Woods did at Sports Illustrated back when a news weekly mattered. And, we had something called Golf Plus in the middle of Sports Illustrated. So Sports Illustrated being the number one sports publication in the world, and then you add Golf plus to what went to about 550,000 people inserted into the middle of Sports Illustrated. 30 plus pages of only golf-specific coverage in the middle of Sports Illustrated to golf fans. You know, the tsunami of interest that Tiger Woods created around, you know, the 97 Masters and then going on into the late 90s, early 2000s, the Tiger Slam. I mean, Bo, you and I, as sports fans, it's like Tom Brady going to 10 Super Bowls, winning 7 of those 10. You know, like going to Tampa Bay and bringing a team back, you know, to the not only to the Super Bowl, but winning the Super Bowl. You know, it's Secretariat winning by 18 lengths. You can't. Things exceed. We had lofty expectations for Tiger, and then he exceeded those, and then he did it again and again and again. And that's why you see the outpouring of support, not only in the world of golf, but in the world of sports. All these other amazing athletes also sort of essentially, giving their support, offering their support. That he was transcendent beyond the game of golf, so far beyond golf. He did what Arnold Palmer did in 1960, but he did it times 100.
Yeah.
And that, you can't. 82 wins, 15 majors, ties Sam Snead, almost catches Jack Nicklaus. That's 82 wins. You know, when other players who have had phenomenal careers look at Tiger Woods' list of accomplishments, they can't fathom it. And these are guys who have had incredible careers. So, I'm lucky, like you are, and we feel to have lived, to have seen it. Is he perfect? No. Has he had his flaws? Of course. But if you see the documentary, you see the way the guy was raised, you can't help but have a little bit of empathy, or I don't know, you give him a little wiggle room.
Sure.
We're all flawed. So I mean, he's been tremendous for golf, for sports, and so much more.
Yeah, and the documentary on Amazon Prime that Matt just referenced is unbelievable. Our friend Matt Ginella. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Ginella. He's been covering golf since 1996, most recently with the Golf Channel. Now he's got a podcast, host of the Fire Pit podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. Tell me about the podcast and what you're doing now, Matt.
Well, I mean, I launched it in April during the pandemic, but I wanted to be a little bit different. So we get multiple voices telling one great story. We had 20 episodes in season 1. We have stories about Ken Griffey Jr. talking about back-to-back home runs with his father, and then the building abandoned dunes in 2 parts with all the necessary voices talking about what that was. Anything that interests me, Bo, I chase it down. I try to get multiple voices. We do 400 minutes of interviews for a 40-minute podcast, cutting up the best aspects of each of the parts of the story and using that voice to tell that story, and working on some really cool stuff in season 2, which we'll start dropping here in a couple weeks. So, including a nice homage to guys like Tony Gwynn, as told by his son, and other players who had to play with him and against him.
Dude, we've got a break, but Tony Gwynn was one of my favorite players when I was growing up. San Diego Padres.
Yeah, you're going to love this one. You're going to love it, bro.
All right, so it's the Fire Pit Podcast. Matt Ginella, you can find it on Apple Podcasts. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Ginella. Hey, buddy, enjoyed catching up. We'll do it again soon. Be good.
Always a pleasure. Next time, under better circumstances.
That's right. Matt Ginella on the Shinerbot guest line. Check out his podcast, The Fire Pit Podcast, on Apple Podcasts. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Ginella. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, is presented by Bank Plus. It's more than a name. It's a promise. We're live in the Bank Plus studio.